Hello. I wanted to connect with you guys today about a topic that has come up. It comes up frequently for me, but specifically recently due to what we're facing right now. So, small businesses and people at home, what can we do to reduce expenses? So, I wanted to address some of the ideas that I've come up with for myself to try and reduce expenses, and hopefully they're helpful for you. So, first of all, budgeting is very important. I talk a lot about budgeting with my clients for their businesses and for personal. So, identifying the anticipated income or expected income, and then identifying the required expenses that are needed for operation. So, whether that's operation of your household or operation of your business. And then figuring out of those operating expenses, what are areas that, if need be, where the income may decrease or you have more expenses than income, what are some ways and some areas that you can reduce costs? So in my house, with what is happening now and the possibility of reduction of hours, as my clients may be forced to close their doors, so then they don't need their business consultant for the hours as previously expected. I did a couple things to help my own situation. So one of the things that I did was I turned down my heat. I turned it down to about 68 degrees, trying to keep it somewhere between 68, 69 degrees in the house. Now, that means that I layer up. So wearing, 2-3 layers, usually a tank top, a shirt, a sweatshirt, sweatpants, thick socks, slippers, as I walk through my house, and to try and reduce cost of heat. Making sure, and that's helpful especially for larger families, or maybe families of 2 or 3 where I'm alone, I'm the only human in the house, but with the kiddos home, maybe more body heat can actually drive that temperature up, so you don't need the temperature from the furnace as high if everybody's home. Some people like to turn their temperature down in their house to a lower temperature at night, and based off all of the information that I have working in the construction field and talking with individuals that have backgrounds for HVAC, that is not a good thing for your furnace, because it makes it work harder to get up to temp, which then is actually costing you money. So that's one thing. Making sure that the kids, as part of their habits, turn off any unnecessary lights as they go from room to room. And if you are coming up with activities for kiddos to do, bring them all into an area a smaller area that you can reduce temperatures by closing doors or what have you, to keep heat in one area. So you could actually turn down the heat in the rest of the house, maybe to 65 degrees, something like that, and then in just one area have a small space heater and keep it warmer. So that would reduce costs as well, and in making sure you wear layers. The other thing is that if you're congregating, as our family's habit is to congregate in the kitchen and dining area, cooking more at home in this time could be beneficial. If you're running the oven, that type of thing. I've been cooking a lot more, and I'm only one person, so I've been freezing a lot of it. But cooking more here in the kitchen and coming up with a plan, and making more hot tea, so drinking a lot of hot liquids. We've talked before about the importance of drinking hot liquids to make sure that we're killing any virus and putting that down into our stomach. So with good gut health, we're killing the virus off. And that's the case with any respiratory viral infection. So drinking hot liquids is good with that. So if you're drinking hot tea, that will also help keep you warm, and you can reduce the cost of heat in the house that way as well. But fixing food from home and using less processed food. So yesterday I spent about 8 hours in the kitchen, made homemade French onion soup, had the oven going and made muffins and baked a cake. I have no idea what I'm going to do with all the food. Don't get me wrong. Some of it I'm going to freeze. Others I'm hoping to give away. But the point being is that it kept my kitchen warm, it kept my dining room warm, and I was warm. So that was another way that I was able to reduce costs. So making sure we budget, making sure we reduce or identify areas of that we can reduce costs. The other thing that I caught myself doing was something that you may do as well. So working from home, I tend to visit my refrigerator a little bit more. And yes, I do. Yes, we have lovely snack items, etc. So because of that, and then I found myself, going to the refrigerator, opening it, standing there and saying, what would I get in here for? Or opening it and getting out one thing and then 5 minutes later, 2 minutes later, turning around and getting more out. So I came up with a plan, identified all of the things that I needed to get out of the refrigerator, got it all out, closed the door, waited until I was done with all of those items to put them all back. So that reduced the amount of times that I actually opened the refrigerator. That's also another way to reduce costs. So the longer we stand there with the door open, the longer it takes, and the more often the refrigerator and or freezer have to turn on in order to maintain temperature. Also being sure that all of your doors are closed completely if you have to let the dog in and out frequently. Making sure that those are closed completely and tightly each time. And my laundry is in the basement, so I tend to leave the door open so that I can easily come up and down. Well, it's a lot colder in the basement, and so heat rises, cold goes down. That sounds great, but when the back door is open and I'm going up and down, that's actually causing the airflow to change, and I'm taking the heat down with me. So by doing that, I needed to reduce that cost. So, and then just trying to conserve water, so that will help with that as well. And because we're going to be home more, potentially looking at the recycling process for our community to reduce costs in trash. So for me, it's the same price for water, trash, and sewer. All is combined in the city of Toledo, but I know that's not the case for every location. So hopefully those are good tips and tricks to help you reduce some costs and take a look at creating a budget. All right, have a great night.